Welcome to The Consumers. My name is Greg Warren. I am here with Tim Convey.
Hello, Greg.
Hi, Tim. Sean O'Brien.
Greg, good hat today, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, blues.
Blues, right? I'm wearing a blues.
Blues,
hat.
yeah.
You like it?
Hockey.
I meant to
Hockey.
put a blues hat on. I have a similar color, and I'm supporting a sport that, well, Cardinals aren't in right now. That's what I'm getting at.
It's all right.
That's
That's all right, man. I'm showing loyalty.
I go
St.
Cardinals all year round, really.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm a casual blues fan, and that's aggressive. I mean, kind of fair weather. I support them. I like that they're here. I just never really got into hockey a ton.
Yeah.
But boy, live hockey is fun, man.
It's pretty cool.
That is a fun sport to watch live.
Yep.
We went to a playoff game years ago. Remember? We went to we sat behind the goal.
That was great.
Man, it felt like you're on the ice. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Guys are slamming in the boards, and
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this intensity to it in the live aspect that is wild. Obviously, anything live is going to be better than TV, but like that one is, to me, just a little, even just a little sweeter.
Yeah, they have their own traditions and like all these things with the fans and very involved, very fan friendly. It feels like.
Yeah. Blues games are fantastic.
They're great. It's the fighting thing still cracks me up.
I know.
Because like I remember it was some college football game. I think it involved Oregon, maybe 5-7 years ago, where at the end of the game or something, some guy got mad and he ran by and the guy kind of punched him.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole world was like, this violence has no place in athletics. This is just an embarrassment. This guy's a horrible person. This is terrible. And then you turn on the hockey game, and these guys are just bare-fisting, hitting each other
Blows
in the
to the
face
head,
as hard as they can. You're like, well, that's what you do.
Totally normal. Yeah.
It's
I love the refs. They like step aside.
Yeah, they think
until
a
somebody
breather.
goes down. It's like that's how it is, correct?
Yeah.
Like, they'll just be like, all right, guys, do your thing.
They
relax.
Somebody falls, we'll come in.
I went to the first NBA game, and I've only been to less than 10 in my life. First NBA game I ever went to, there was a fight, which turned into a brawl. It was a Sacramento Kings game. Corliss Williamson and I think Terry Porter just swinging at each other, and the whole place just
Those guys
chaos.
are both big guys, right?
Uh-huh. And I was like, this
Even
is,
for the NBA, yeah.
what's that?
For the NBA, they were like centers, right? Or
Well,
forwards.
Terry Porter was for the Trailblazers.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
say, I
think he was
could
a
be
guard.
remembering it wrong.
Oh, really?
I want to
Yeah,
say
I
he
remember
wasn't a
Terry
guard.
Porter.
It was not a guard.
Trailblazers and Sacramento Kings, and it was awesome. It was really cool.
I don't know that, by the way. He just doesn't-
Yeah, well, I'm not going 100. I thought he was. I remember playing him in Sega in like NBA, whatever he had to say.
Yeah.
The Trailblazer, Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter.
Yeah.
And Terry Porter would hit threes. I remember that in my game. So that's
Yeah.
what
I
basically
thought he was like either a center or a power forward because I thought he might have played. I thought he might have played 1 year with the Rockets as a backup center to Olajuwon, but I could be wrong. on
Really?
that. Yeah, I could
I
be
don't
totally
think
wrong.
he's
on
that
that.
big. Headband guy, right?
I'm not feeling that either.
That's Drexler.
Oh no, I know who
It's Drexler.
Drexler is.
Yeah.
We'll do some research.
Sean and I were in Detroit not too long ago doing a show, and I didn't really bring this up on the show yet, but I have a little bit of a problem.
Here we go. What are we 6 in? Let's see. Five in? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have it. Let's see what you got.
Well, I might as well get it out there.
Yeah, just get it out, man.
Rather than
just
have me.
don't sit on it.
So, I mean, I bring Sean on the road, and generally we have a good time. I mean, he's not. I mean, he sleeps a lot. Like he does sleep a lot during the day. It's like he's. You're not going to go to lunch with him every day because he does sleep a lot.
Yeah,
He has weird hours.
I have weird hours. I don't think I sleep. I might sleep a little more than the average person.
No,
but
I mean like during the day. Yeah, you sleep during the day.
Sometimes, but then I'm up at like 2:30 in the morning too.
2:30 in the morning.
Well. Like it's weird. Yeah, I can't stay asleep.
doing mostly like Pilates and stuff. Right?
Yoga,
Yeah.
Pilates. Yeah, I mean, how do you think I got this squishy body, man?
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, you don't get to go to lunch with him too often. But you bring somebody on the road, you figure you're gonna get to hang out a little bit, right? And we're walking home from the last show, and I have this thing where like, if somebody's playing music on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just have a thing where you got to give them money because it's basically what I do. I mean, it's basically I'm telling jokes and I'm asking for money. So it's just good karma, and I feel like they're not begging for money. They're doing a thing.
Same
and
thing.
sometimes I like hearing music in the street or whatever. So this guy's playing, and and I had to wait for him, by the way, because he's getting paid after me, and he's
Not
got
my
all
fault,
his
by the way.
shirt stuff or whatever. So I'm like, I'll wait for him. You walk back to the hotel together. It's a 10-minute walk. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go across the street just to give this guy, a couple bucks or whatever. He's like, I'm not waiting. Just walks ahead fast.
It's nothing to do with the fact that he's tipping the guy. It's just that
it disgusted
he
you.
just cannot get out of the club. I have never met anyone like he can't leave.
I thought
it
he
is
was
Now you're lying.
No, I'm not lying. No, I'm not. I'm not. And we can do this for an hour and 30 minutes.
No,
I'm
let's
not
do
backing
that.
down.
Yeah,
So
you're
don't
just
start.
flat out lying.
I'm not lying. I got paid. Well, yes, in Detroit, I did get my check after Greg.
Okay.
So he was waiting me in that situation. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm like, what is he doing? Just go. Leave the club.
So he's waiting for you. You step outside. He's
like
giving money
waiting
to
like
the
2
guy.
minutes.
No, we walked for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I
Minutes.
see this guy across the street, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to give this guy his thing. And Sean's like, I'm not waiting.
I'm not waiting for him. Yeah, he's always stalling. There's always just some, I can't. It was cold. I didn't have the proper jacket. It was a little chilly.
That's what it was. It was cold, and you just didn't want to help out your friend.
It was not about
like,
that. But I didn't. No, I didn't want
And
to
you
wait.
took off.
No,
Yeah,
I kept going. So, but you know what? It actually helped him out because you know what he did? He's like, I'm going to run and catch up to him. So, which he
really?
did. So, because of that, I made him hustle a little bit more, and then he got a little more exercise.
This is all like, again, he's not addressing the issue or anything. He's just kind of.
You couldn't wait a couple minutes?
No.
Had the guy been playing a Coldplay song, would you have been more patient?
Probably. Yeah. Probably if he was playing a Coldplay song, I would have been a little more patient. But
you love Coldplay.
I just wanted to go back.
What was he playing? Tell me about this guy.
I can't remember. I don't think he was playing an instrument.
It sounded like this. That's all it was.
He wasn't playing an instrument?
Yeah, he might have been singing, and he might have had a boom box.
Dude, he's like hitting Tupperware.
It was.
He's banging Tupperware.
It wasn't one of the better musicians that I've seen out there, but still, he's out there.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Right.
He's out there, and I mean, it literally would have taken you 20 seconds to just 20 seconds.
He's right. Now, if we walked right by him, I would have given him $20. So
No, you would
Yes,
not.
I would. I'm very generous, man. Don't even say I'm not, Greg. I'm very generous.
I know you wouldn't have given him $20.
You just said he was hitting Tupperware. You were clearly unimpressed.
I'm saying
there's 30 lies in what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I can't make sense. I'm doing my best to sort it out for the
30
listener.
lies.
There's no lies.
And I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, you can't even keep track of all the lying that you're doing.
Listen, just relax. It was about time efficiency. I just wanted to get back to the hotel.
What'd you have to do back there so bad?
Nothing, man. I was just tired.
I
was
wanted to
cold.
get back
A minute ago was about how cold it was.
It
and
was
now it's
cold.
about time efficiency.
But I'm saying if he was right next to me, Greg had to cross the street. He had to hit the buzzer. The little countdown crosswalk guy had to come on. It
that's a
took
lie.
3-4 minutes.
I think that's a lie.
Logic in the why.
Logic.
over
It's
here.
all about the why and the logic.
The
Why
lie
and
and
the
the
logic.
logic. Yeah.
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 The
Let's
lie
get it right,
and the
guys.
logic.
So then, did you see each other? Did you wait for him in the hotel lobby? Or
No,
did you-
I sprinted up
because he sprinted up.
Oh,
Remember?
you did.
Sprint.
That's right. Okay.
And I was just like, what? You're a jerk.
He's like, oh man, what
I
are you?
said, I said, you're a jerk.
I can't wait on him anymore, man. This is just
Yeah, the
8
thing
out
is,
of 10 weeks. He
again,
just
I waited on you.
yeah. In that situation, you waited about 30 seconds.
And
But
earlier in the week,
overall, it's just constantly just what is he doing, man? He's
we're not going to
loitering.
resolve this, but I thought we were going to.
I will say it was a nice gesture what he did.
I thought I was
applaud
going to
that.
get an apology. It's not going to happen.
You're definitely not going to get an apology.
Yeah.
I will say the gesture is nice. I don't think the guy earned it that much because he's sitting there, he's playing, he's sitting on a milk carton and playing with sticks. And
You stand by your actions. You'd do it again.
There was no milk
in that
carton.
situation, I would have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I'm sorry he's upset.
I'll live with it. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, man. Lesson learned. If you see somebody playing music, I don't care what, go out of your, give them everything you got. If it's a mile away, if you see them with binoculars, go down, give them money.
No, but especially if they're any good, I do the same thing.
You would have done
Because
the
like
same
you
thing?
said, they're not just the guy saying, "Hey, do you have anything?" They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm providing a service."
And
You're
I
right.
do even the people that ask for money, I do it. When I was in New York, this guy Louis Katz had a rule, a really funny comic. Louis's rule was a buck a day.
Oh, you personally? That's just the
like
tax.
because in New York you're going to hit
Oh yeah.
50 times, and I mean, just can I have money? Can I have money? Can I have money? And it's probably a lot of them. It's a scam. Most of them probably it's a scam, but it's also like if they're asking, they probably need it on some level.
Right.
And I just like, so I was giving out way too much money in New York at first.
Yeah.
Because some of these people are, I'm like, that might, if that person is if it's a scam, that's the best actor that I've ever seen. Because I'm going to acting classes right now and I'm doing auditions and I'm not near as good as they are.
When you say scam, do you mean this person has things and they're just floating a little extra? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess where it's like maybe
they're
they're not
money and they have an iPhone.
Maybe they're
stuff
not
like
as destitute as
they're using it to pay their mortgage.
Yeah, or maybe it's like they have some ability to go do something else, but they just don't want to. And then, there's some people like, well, no, that person is insane and they do need the money, or they're hooked on some narcotics and, like whatever that is. So it's like, but I like the Louis rule. It was $1 a day. Buck a day, man. And you're like, the guys I can have like, man, I already did it.
Gave my guy. He beat you.
Yeah, he beat you.
The guy was just a little bit uptown.
Yeah. But I do really, and maybe it's more OCD than it is like decency. But like with the music thing, I just sort of, it's almost superstition. I'm like, man, in a way, I'm always asking for something. We're asking people to watch this podcast.
Yeah.
We're just asking for, we don't exist as comedians if there's not people that are like, hey, you know what? I don't know this guy, but I'm gonna click on him and watch him for 10 minutes, or I got a ton of things to do, but I'm gonna go buy a ticket to see Greg Warren. So I sort of like superstition. I'm like, man, this guy's doing some level of it.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, when I started, what I was doing at open mics was worse than what that guy was doing on the streets of Detroit.
Right.
And what I was doing was garbage, man. And nobody should have
put money in your
nobody
jar.
should have had to come watch me.
Yeah.
Or even when you're getting paid as an MC to start out. Like, I don't think.
Atrocious.
So it's a little bit of superstition.
I do that too. Or just like, I feel lucky to be able to do what I do for a bunch of people, and you never know. Part of it is luck, so you kind of want to the good karma thing. Put that in.
Right. Yeah. So
I do the same thing.
I wanted to get your guys' take on something.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a delicate subject. And our friend Jen Myers passed away this week. Jen, all three of us knew her and all three of us loved her. Jen was a longtime radio personality in St. Louis. And Jen fought cancer for like 10 years, heroically. And Tim was actually on air with her every day.
Yeah, we worked together for a long time.
Yeah. When I first started going on the radio in St. Louis, Courtney, who's our friend, who will be on this podcast at some point, who's Tim's partner now on the radio, Courtney had a show with Guy Phillips and Jen, and they didn't have comedians on. They had like 3 comedians on a year, and I got to be one of those comedians every year, and it really helped my career. And Jen was she had the greatest laugh. She was the greatest mom, and she just was the bravest person with this fight. And we went to her funeral a couple days ago, and everybody in St. Louis was there. This thing, you were there. I mean, it was like, it was a giant line. I think, I was in the line for maybe an hour.
So
and
yeah,
change.
I mean, it was the public visitation. So there was I showed up way before doors, and there was a lot of people there.
I mean, I must have been in line for more than an hour, I think. So I'm in line, and I'm like, this is gonna be a while, and it's fine. And they had all these great pictures. Jen, by the way, I don't think I realized is one of the most photogenic people in the world.
Yeah, we were talking about that today. And there's I've been going through so many of them, but you're
they're amazing.
Right.
But so I'm in line, and then your boss Marty was, I don't know, like 50 people in front of me, and Marty's like, come up here. I'm like, no, man, no. Then he comes over, he's like, hey, dude. Come up here with me. He goes, come up here with me, stand with me.
Jump in the line?
I go, man, Marty, I am not jumping line at a funeral. That is like at a visitation in a church.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's bad karma, isn't it?
That is.
You
man.
can't do that, can you?
No, it's not like Six Flags. You don't have a go pass.
It's not like Six Flags. You're right, man.
You're not doing that. You're not gonna just.
Nobody gets.
Hey, man, I paid an extra 50.
Put a little extra in the offertory.
Yeah. You don't get a go pass at a funeral.
No, man.
I mean, I guess you do if you're direct family or something, but they're
for
probably
sure.
up there anyway.
You were
up there
solo.
Huh?
You were by yourself.
I was by myself.
So that makes it a little bit maybe more acceptable. I'll tell you what I did.
Did you jump the line?
Well, listen.
Oh,
he did.
Man.
Wow. This is crazy.
I got there early.
Yeah.
We were not in the thing yet, right?
Yeah.
People were just sort of accumulating
Yeah.
outside before they even opened doors.
Right.
We kind of got in what, sort of seemed like the end of the line.
Yeah.
And then some of my, members that we had all worked together with Jen were up front and said, hey, we're, kind of wanting to all be together and then present to everybody together, called me up. We were not in the building yet.
Ooh,
we were
man.
outside it. And I got the call to go up and be in the front.
So you kind of did butt the line. I mean,
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit different. I don't think I would have done
outside,
it.
I think it's a little different.
I do too. I don't
And
think
if
I
you
would have
got-
done
And
it.
you guys all were together. Who else was in on this?
A bunch of our old Kevin,
Okay. Yeah.
who was on the show.
Okay.
and
So
then
there. Yeah.
a bunch of
Sorry, man. I'm testing you a little bit because I'm used to.
Yeah,
You can shoot holes
No.
in anything that he has
Yeah,
to say.
no, man.
Like you can catch him with all these lies.
Kevin, Guy Phillips were up there,
Okay,
and then a
you're
handful of the
legit. Sorry
others.
that I
The
even
team,
tested
the
you on
team that we all worked
Yeah.
together. So, and it honestly, it was nice to see the family and stuff, us all kind of together. I think that meant something.
Okay. All right. That's yeah. I mean I lean like it might be okay.
Yeah, I think it's. I appreciate that. But yeah, she was fantastic, and that service and spending the time, it felt good. She was great. She, like you said, I think fought cancer for most of her 40s, and as a result was one of those people who just every opportunity, everything, she said yes to a lot of things.
Brought
and
a lot of awareness. To
Yes,
it. Yeah.
and was always just like you do this now. She knew that her time potentially could be limited, and took all those opportunities. I remember we were at the PGA Championship was here in town, and Ozzie Smith was there, and I had never met Ozzie Smith, and I really freaked out just kind of seeing him. And she's like, "Let's go," and I'm like, "No," and I was like aggressive, like, "No," and she goes, "No, you look at you, you have to go meet him." And so she grabs me, just pulls me up and goes, "Ozzie, you remember Tim, don't you?" And he's like, "Hey," and I mean, but just it was such a little thing, but she had that perspective, and you saw it in so many ways of like. Your time here, everybody's time here is limited,
man.
and like do those, like meet Ozzie Smith, do those things, and in crazy, she had so many great experiences with her kids and stuff. So
her kids were awesome, man.
I miss her. It's been a tough week. She was the best.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the brand.
Yeah.
Send our love to Ryan and all of Jen's family.
Yeah.
But let's get into the brand. The brand today is everybody hold them up.
Yeti, baby.
No.
Keeps the drinks cold. Just what we talked. I got notes galore, guys. Yeti started. It took me 4 hours, so you two better bring it. All right.
Yeah.
So.
The brand is Starbucks. Starbucks is the brand today. It is. I don't know. I would say maybe one of the brands that I am the most loyal to.
I don't. For me, it's not loyalty. It's pure addiction.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
It is a problem.
But yeah, I don't know. It's loyalty. It's like part of my identity. I think a good portion of my material has probably been written in a Starbucks.
Right.
It's like ritualistic with me. But let's start with the history. 1971. Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Bowker. They were all buddies. They were a writer, a history teacher, and an English teacher. Actually, I believe Bowker was also an ad agency owner, too, as well as being a teacher. They were friends. Baldwin and Bowker met while they were at San Francisco University. They were standing in line for dorm assignments, and they got up the front, and they're like, "Hey, we don't have any left." And they just looked at each other like, "Well, you want to get an apartment together?" They didn't know each other. So that's how they met. And then I believe Zev Siegel was a neighbor, and the three of them just sort of hit it off. And they
kind of like us.
Yeah.
Very like how we're all so close.
Mhm.
Like how
Yeah,
much Greg loves me the same way he loves you.
I
Tim.
love you, buddy.
Very.
I do.
Mhm.
It's sometimes it's difficult, but that's what friendship is.
Yeah. They started Starbucks. We started the consumers. It's
right.
pretty.
Yeah.
Probably just
well,
as
here's the
successful.
thing. They that Starbucks was not their first business. They had these jobs and they liked each other. Like, let's do something together.
Yeah.
And they tried writing scripts for TV shows. They tried making a documentary film. They tried like pre-programmed classical music for radio stations,
Mhm.
I think at some point. And then they sort of was like, we all love good coffee. And good coffee was not a thing back then. Or should I say, I'll talk a little bit about coffee. I was in the coffee business, and I don't want to take shots at my former employer. But the coffee that you got most of the time was from a big can.
Oh, yeah.
I sold Folgers.
Folgers Crystals.
No, Crystals is instant coffee.
Oh, was that instant?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
instant
I couldn't
coffee.
remember what that was.
Which is not as quality as your ground coffee. And Folgers is a fine product. I do think it's just not as gourmet as the stuff that's out there today.
Yeah.
It's not as strong. It's not as dark roasted. I think there's two different kind of beans from what I remember. It was Arabica and Robusta. And those were, I think Folgers and Maxwell House and Hills Brothers back then, those were the big ones. They were like a blend of those two beans. Arabica is the higher end bean. All the stuff that you get at Starbucks now is 100% Arabica. And probably some of the stuff you get with, Folgers, I would imagine at this point. And then I think we had this special roast, which is like the cheap stuff, Folgers special roast. And I think that was 100% Robusta. So there wasn't a lot of like gourmet coffee that you would get on every street corner right now. So they got into it. I think the two guys discovered some of it up in Northern California. There were a couple places there. And then they used to go up to British Columbia, Vancouver, that had a sort of a gourmet coffee shop. And they're like, let's start a coffee business. Now, to be clear, they were not about this. They were like, we're going to sell this. We're going to sell coffee beans. We're going to sell beans to people.
To make in their home.
There was brewed coffee in the store, but that was just like, hey, try this. You like it? Let me sell you this. It was all free samples back in the day. So they open a Starbucks coffee. The name Starbucks, pretty interesting. I said that Gordon was part of an ad agency, and his partner was like, listen, man, I know this. Brands that begin with ST are really good. It's like the ST sound is very powerful in marketing.
Really?
Yeah. So they were in the ad agency, and there's this old mining map, and there was this town called Starbo. And they're like, that's Starbo. And like joke writing or songwriting, probably, it's not the first thing. So they're like Starbo, and that reminded him of Starbuck, who was a character in Herman Melville's
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick, yeah. He was, I think, the first mate in Moby Dick. Starbuck was the name.
Huh.
Just for clarity, the band Starbuck came on a lot later.
Oh.
You guys familiar with the band Starbuck?
No.
Randy's got to be. He was in the Allman Brothers.
He was in
They had a hit.
Starbuck for a minute.
Yeah, they had a hit. They had a hit called "Moonlight Feels Right," and your brother would totally be into it. It's that sort of soft rock stuff.
Starbuck.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a great song.
I don't know.
That was a hit in like 74.
All right.
So this is 71. So anyways, they're like, let's call it Starbucks. And they weren't like Moby Dick fans, or they weren't obsessed with Moby Dick. It was just that sort of association.
It worked, yeah.
To use the sound, and then let's see the map, and then, oh yeah, that guy. And so they called it Starbucks. Could have been called, I don't know, Stupids, Stairwells, Styles, Stutters.
Good.
Anybody got any else?
Stickers.
Oh.
Stickers would have been a great, yeah.
I did. I saw that thing too about the ST of the companies. So I looked, and there's like 1,000 companies I saw that begin. I mean, a lot of them I didn't know, but like
Stefanina's Pasta.
Stephanie's pasta. No, but in the
Starburst.
Starburst.
Yeah.
Starburst, and in the World Series, all the players, the helmets, they got some company on the helmets now. It's like
Starter
jacket, but that's not it.
No.
You guys know what I'm talking about? On that, it's like Straub or Strauss, and it's like just like a
wealth management or
utility
something?
like no, it's like clothing gear. Anyways, I'm just saying the ST was. I thought that was interesting.
Stuckies. Remember Stuckies?
Sure.
They were like truck stop
Stuckies.
restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Siegel was the researcher of the group. And back then there was no internet. So he goes to the library and he looks through all these phone books and newspaper articles, and he finds this guy, Alfred Peet, P-E-E-T. You guys, if you've been to Northern California, you've seen a lot of Peet's coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alfred Peet was basically the authority on coffee beans in the United States at that point.
Huh.
So Siegel takes a trip to San Francisco to meet this guy, and he kind of takes a liking to Siegel because Siegel, Alfred was European, sort of old school European, and Siegel's dad was the concert master for the Seattle Symphony.
Wow.
And that sort of gave him some gravitas, and they talked about that, and he's like, I kind of like the kid. So they talked about coffee, and he agreed, you know what, I'll supply you guys with some beans. You can open your coffee shop in Seattle. So they did. And the first, their buddy was the first one. His name was Daniel Jack Chasen. He stopped in and bought a pound of Sumatra, and that was the first customer. I believe that was back in 1971. So they were doing well. They were doing fine. They had the store. I think they opened another store. And at some point, Pete was like, listen, you guys, I'm tired of sending you coffee beans. You need to learn to roast your own beans. I'm going to come there. I'm going to show you how to roast your own beans. So they got into roasting coffee beans. And Alfred Pete taught him. I think at one point, like they didn't have coffee. And there's some disagreement about whether it just the delivery stopped or whether Pete was like, you guys owe me money or whatever. But on that day, like they all just basically, they waited, they got the orders, and they drove in cars to people's houses. Like, you bought this coffee. I'm sorry it wasn't here when you came here yesterday. So they drove cars and they delivered all the coffee. Huh. Yeah. So they ran into a couple things. There was a big coffee freeze in 1975. It forced coffee prices up. I dealt with that a lot in the coffee business. Man, when there's a coffee freeze down in Brazil, the price goes through the roof. We would have a big like national sales meeting to deal with commodity prices.
Like, what are you talking? Like double? Like how bad of a hit are we taking? I don't think it didn't
double, but it had high. Yeah, it would go up significantly. And we were in the orange juice business too with Citrus Hill, and when there was an orange freeze or whatever, and supply was limited, man, you gotta get to it quickly. You'd be like, hey, man, because if you own it at a higher price and you don't take the price up, you're gonna take a bath. So it's a big deal in that commodity stuff.
That's just economics, Sean. That's all that is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just economics. Enter Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz is the central figure in all this.
Yeah.
Howard was a New York guy. He was a salesman for Xerox and later a salesman for Hammerplast. They make kitchen equipment, and he was in charge of the coffee machine operations in the U.S. And he started noticing this one place up in Seattle was buying a ton of coffee machine equipment. Plastic cone filters, I believe, was the one that he really noticed. He's like, these guys they're going through the roof. So he goes out there. He's like, I got to go see what's going on here. And he immediately falls in love with these three guys. He falls in love with their concept. They're very creative. They're very laid back. He just thinks this is awesome. And he says, you guys, I want to come work for you. So they set up this thing. Like they all go to dinner. He brings his wife. They go to dinner. And he kind of tries to wow him. He tells him about his vision and all that. And the three of them go back and they're like, nah. And so Jerry calls him and he's like, hey man, sorry, it's not going to work out. He's like, Jerry, you're making a big mistake here. And he's such a salesman. He goes back to the other two guys and goes, let's give him a shot. So that's when Howard goes to work for him. And he loves it, and he does
Howard
well.
had no ownership at that point. The three guys own it, and Howard just works for him.
He just worked for him. He was like their marketing guy. Mm-hmm. And Howard was a suit guy, man. They mention he's a really snappy dresser, like a suit guy. I don't know, snappy dresser. That's I've always wondered if it's snappy is good. Maybe is it? Yeah. Snazzy. Yes.
Snazzy is a little more. Snappy means like you're good. Snazzy, I would say, is a little more. Flair to it.
Yeah.
Snappy's like, oh, he's put together. He's really getting the job done. It's good. It's snappy. Snazzy is more ostentatious.
There it is.
Yeah. Sean
Great
O'Brien
job.
word. Yeah.
Yeah. I some girl told me I had a snazzy tie one time, and I was like, I think she's saying it was a really nice try, and it was a little much.
Yeah,
is what I thought.
On a tie, I don't think you want your tie to be snazzy.
No. Okay. Yeah. I think she was saying like. This didn't work.
Yeah.
She didn't come.
Yeah, sharp. You want a sharp tie, right?
Sharp tie. It was a sharp dresser. I should have just gone there.
Yeah, I mean, ZZ Top would call it that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been. Wait, you were in ZZ Top for a minute.
Yeah, Randy played, man. He was on 84 to 88.
Yeah.
He was on drums.
Played in ZZ Top.
Is that about Howard Schultz?
Yeah. Anyways, Schultz was a sharp dresser. He wore suits, and these guys were more like kind of laid back. And he had the personality of a suit guy. He was very dynamic. He was high energy, and he did well there. And they sent him over to Milan to sort of learn about coffee on some trip, figure out what's going on over there. And he immediately fell in love with the espresso shops over there. He's like, espresso is where it's at. Are you an espresso guy?
No.
I don't know anything about coffee.
No.
I drink tea. You don't know much about espresso.
Not
do you?
much, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't play with it.
Randy, you know anything about espresso?
I love it, dude. Yeah, when I go to Starbucks, I usually get an extra shot of espresso in my coffee. Absolutely.
Okay. Yes.
Love it.
So there wasn't much espresso. The espresso machines are very expensive, but there was like that culture. People were hanging out and talking, and they would be there for a while. And he was like, "This is the future. We got to go espresso." So he comes back and he's like, "Guys, this is what we got to do."
The hang.
It
really appealed to him.
I think we might as well get into it now. Starbucks is the third place. People talk about that. You have your home, you have your work, and Starbucks found the third place, another place to hang. I mean, I would imagine a tavern is also a third place.
Yes.
Yeah. And in my 20s, that was my third place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was more my second place. And yeah. And Starbucks now, I would say in some cases is my first place or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so he saw this and he's like, this is what we need to do. And he went back and they let him open one. They let him open an espresso shop and it did well. And he was like, this is where we got to go.
And was that called Starbucks?
It was not.
Okay.
That one, I don't know.
Okay.
That one, I actually don't know.
Is that Il Gurnali?
No, that comes later.
Okay.
So
Right.
he goes to them and says, well, this is going well. And they're like, nah, we're just not in on it, man. These espresso machines are too much money. We think the business is this. We think the business is coffee beans. That's what we're about. We're not about the retail. And so he's like, hey guys, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna start my own thing. And they let him leave, and they actually gave him some seed money. I think they gave him $150,000. And he leaves in 1985, and he starts Il Giornale.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Giornale. Giornale. I think Il Giornale. So he goes and he gets some money from he needed $400,000. He got $150 from them. He asked 242 investors, 217 rejected him. Yeah. And
but these guys bought in. They said, "We'll give you some money."
We'll give you some money. Yeah,
Cool.
we'll give you some money.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like I think they're like, we know this guy's good.
Yeah.
We just don't see things the same way as
Yeah.
he did. So and then he goes back to Milan and he visits like 500 of those things just to learn as much as he can. And the first Il Giornale does well, and it's killing it. Okay. In the meantime, a couple other things had been going on, and the first one had like ice cream. It had opera playing in the background. It had just a little bit of seating, not like they have today, and a couple other things going on. At that point, Pete's was for sale, Alfred Pete, and so the Starbucks guys bought Pete's. And so that was in 84, and they're like, this is our big deal here is Pete's. We got the big coffee, we got the big coffee business now in Northern California, the big ground coffee business. So they were focused more on that. I think Siegel bowed out around 1980 and did something different. And at one point they're like, you know what? We're just going to put up Starbucks, the retail business for Starbucks. We're going to put that on sale. And you can buy the name Starbucks. So Howard was like, I'm buying it. I'm buying Starbucks. It was like 3.7 million or something like that. So he had to get some money together to buy it. He bought basically the name Starbucks, and I think there are 5 retail stores at the time. And he went to Bill Gates Sr. Not Microsoft Bill Gates, his dad. His dad was a big lawyer, and he really, really helped him out with that.
Was it at this point, was Starbucks, even the coffee bean, still just kind of regional? I mean, that wasn't a name.
Oh
that
yeah, this is
people
all Seattle at this
Okay.
point. Yeah. This is 5 stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in Seattle. And so is Il Giornale. Was everything's up in Seattle at that point. So he buys it, and it expands very fast to the point of an IPO in 1992. He didn't believe in franchising. He thought they should own every outlet. And then, they started growing. They did some acquisitions. In 94, they bought the Coffee Connection. Do you know why? Anybody?
No.
Got
Coffee
nothing on
Connection had a little item called Frappuccino.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were like, we think this is the deal. So they bought that.
So that they could have that drink.
They could have
That's cool.
Frappuccino, which, was ice cream sundaes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But whatever it is. And then they bought Pasqua Coffee in San Francisco, LA, and New York. They bought Seattle's Best, which I remember in 2003. They bought Diedrich's, and they did well, man, especially in the 90s. I mean, I was around for it. You guys were around for it, man. I mean, they started, it wasn't a thing. Coffee shops weren't a thing when I was a kid. And then it was after college. They were around in college, but it wasn't like people were hanging out there. And then, in the 90s, I'm like, oh, wow, this is by the late 90s. Really, when I kind of quit my day job and started doing comedy, was when I was like, this is part of what I do. I go to the coffee shop every night,
I was talking to my father-in-law, who later kind of worked for Starbucks, but his first memory of it was that Howard had opened one of those, what is it called?
Il Journal?
That he said that was around in Chicago. And he remembers, because wherever he was working, across the street, this place opened, and there was a guy in this big jetpack looking thing, and it was coffee in there, and that he would serve the cups to people and just give it to people walking by and saying, this is our, just giving them that first taste for free, trying to get them. And then he said once he did get the name, that place switched and became a Starbucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And your father-in-law, Kim, who's a great guy. He was telling me the other night, I guess he found a lot of locations for Howard.
Yeah. So
he said he drove Howard around in Chicago looking for places.
Exactly. He'd scout some out and kind of be like, these are the ones I'm thinking. Howard would tell him what he was looking for. And this is probably late 80s, early 90s, I guess. He'd pick them up. They'd drive around. He'd be like, what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? And this was over the course of several years. He did this several times. So he kind of got to know him.
That is so cool.
And they'd go find the look, and they're all about corners, and he just dialed in what that business was. But he talked to him about the things you were just saying about the hang over in Italy, the third place idea. Like, that's what he was doing. And he said he was, just laser focused. He said he didn't find him to be, very, warm necessarily. It wasn't like they really, were buddies and would go have a drink at the end of the night. But he's
the kind of guy,
really
like if somebody crossed the street to have to to throw $1 in the
exactly,
he'd be gone.
Exactly.
He'd be gone.
See ya. Got things to do.
Yeah.
I'm just, we're going to bring this up later.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's fine.
I'm going back to that.
That's fine. Whatever you want.
Very upset.
I'm sure you got another story around it. So they're doing well. They're killing it.
Yeah.
And I guess he steps down from the CEO role right around 2000 to focus, I think, a lot on China. He was still the chairman, but he wasn't running the day-to-day. And Starbucks had some problems in the early 2000s. That was what they call the coffee wars. McDonald's and Dunkin' got in on coffee pretty heavy. And, they were cheaper. And you can speak to it. You're a Dunkin' guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dunkin', I mean, it was just no brainer for me. We've been through it's a better cup of coffee for me, my personal taste.
And I think most people feel that way. I mean,
really?
That Dunkin' tastes
You
better?
drink black coffee. I mean, look, I don't know, man. You go your own way in this, but the black coffee at Starbucks, it's got a bite to it, man.
Yeah, I remember when I was at Procter & Gamble, they called it Charbucks because it's very dark roasted and they did. They thought they had them. This was because they were coming after us.
Mic drop.
Basically, they started getting into the retail business. We owned Folgers had a huge market share.
Forget about it.
But Starbucks started going into the grocery stores, and then you started seeing whole bean sections. And then it's funny, early in my career, they're like, this is nothing. They sell milk is what they do. They're an ice cream shop and they put a little coffee in it and it's Charbucks. It's like, it's not, it was just our spin on it. And then later when I was there, we bought a company called Millstone Coffee, which was this basically. Yeah. We bought a company, for retail. To
speak to what Sean, I think, I don't know. I know very little about coffee. I started drinking it later in life. I'm a Starbucks addict, but it's not even I love the taste or would argue that it's great coffee. I like the dosage. I know exactly what the caffeine does to me. But I think most people that even know a little bit about coffee or care about the flavor think Dunkin' is a superior cup of coffee.
Really? What about McDonald's? Have you had that?
I don't know, but people seem to think
It
that's
is
good.
rough for me.
Really?
I've had it. Yeah, but I know people who love it.
Love
Like
McDonald's
we'll go
coffee.
there
Yeah.
just for McDonald's coffee.
But Starbucks is, to Sean's point though, Starbucks, it's such a brand. You know what I mean? It becomes, I talked to a friend who does some work with them, and in addition to, you know, you show up somewhere with your Gucci bag and the other brands you want to show you've got, it's acceptable to go to any place with your Starbucks coffee, but there's a lot of people you can't exactly picture walking in with a Dunkin' cup or a QT cup
really?
of coffee.
You think in Boston you think it's like that though?
I couldn't tell you.
I wonder if you go to the country club, you can probably have a Dunkin' in Boston.
Nah, but I know what Tim's saying, man. Like, yeah, if you're gonna go in like to some high end store with a Starbucks, as opposed to Love's coffee, you might get thrown out.
Yeah,
saying,
it's just
Love's the
And
truck
I
stop.
enjoy Love's the truck
Do
stop,
you?
But
Yeah.
I think them and Pilot, they
You
really
like
fire it.
the experience, so that's your favorite truck stop. But do you like the coffee too?
I mean, for gas station coffee, it gets the job done coffee.
Okay, but it's not
You know,
Dunkin'.
I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it, but if that's
Okay.
what you got,
Yeah.
no, Dunkin's first. Well, and I don't want to jump out of order here, so stop me. But
No, go ahead,
The
man.
caffeine, you know, this caffeine thing in the Grande Pike has 310 milligrams of caffeine, which I believe is like 16 ounces, where the 20-ounce Dunkin' is like 170
No,
milligrams.
I did not get that.
Oh, okay.
My research showed differently than
That's
that.
not what I've got.
What
Yeah.
I got was there are forms of Starbucks coffee that are insanely high in caffeine, but it's the blonde roast is really, really high. But just a small cup of coffee of Starbucks versus a small cup of coffee.
I'm talking Grande. Grande,
Whatever, size to size, the normal coffee, I showed that Starbucks was not more caffeine than
You
Dunkin'.
might be looking at Yeti numbers.
Yeah, that could be it.
It might be that research.
Could be it.
No wonder none of this makes sense, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking at these
It
notes. and
stays cold.
I mean,
know.
we're talking about ice cubes here and tumblers.
Right.
All right. I won't argue with that. But
No, I don't know because it's one of those things, man. On some of these, especially with the history,
Well,
but
yeah.
like you get 80 different opinions. But I did some deep dive on that, and it was like, I go, because I always hear that Starbucks coffee has way more caffeine, and they were like, yeah, the blonde roast does, but just the regular roast, like Pike Place versus Dunkin's got more, is what I saw.
Oh, okay. See, I got the exact opposite. What I thought was interesting, and I thought like Red Bull, like an 8-ounce can of Red Bull, I thought that's like 3 cups of coffee. All right, so a cup of standard coffee is about 80 milligrams of caffeine. Do we?
Like
does that
100.
sound right?
Yeah.
I have a Dunkin' Small at 180 and a Starbucks regular brew at 102. And I've got, for comparison, I've got a can of Coke at 34 milligrams.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I was saying is the Red Bull is 111. I got that.
Yeah, so it's like
It's
coffee.
more, yeah.
Yeah. So if
all
you
right,
want
well,
coffee,
then
it's
I
that
want that. But I
blonde
thought
roast
The
stuff.
blonde roast, yeah.
Yeah, people think the dark roast is more, but it's not.
The blonde roast, I think, that's going to get you going.
Yep. And iced coffee or cold brew, I should
Cold
say,
brew.
sends me flying.
Oh, yeah, man.
Caffeine has unbelievable effect on me. And like I said, I do Starbucks. I stick with the grande iced coffee because it's I know what I'm getting. We'll go to Caldi's sometimes. Shout out to Caldi's. And I do the cold brew, and I am flying the rest of the day. People
All right, I know. I've
cannot have
experienced that with you.
conversations with me.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But every now and then there's some genius that comes out.
Oh, yeah, I'm productive.
Yeah. There's some stuff I'm
with
like,
the
wow,
cold brew.
man, that was drink some more of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Come up with some of my best stuff on cold brew.
Yeah. So they're struggling in the early 2000s, and he's gone, and then he comes back in 2008 and as CEO and says, "Hey, I've been watching from here, and we're getting away from what we used to be," and basically saying we're becoming a commodity now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not special. We're not the place where you go for coffee. We're not local. We don't have that. Because, I mean, when I first started going, it did have that feel where the employees were all nice. They except in the airport and except in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
but they were all, they were very nice. And I used to go to this one in Kirkwood that I go to all the time, and I still remember, Sean still works there. This not that Sean. This guy Sean, I know. This girl Nicole was always there, and it was just it's weird, man. It's a big part of like my day because I would go there. It's where I sort of learned to become a comic.
Yeah.
When I was in LA, at first I couldn't get on stage, and I would just go to Starbucks and write. Just because I was like, I don't feel like being
I
at
thought you were
home.
going to say I couldn't get on stage. I just go to Starbucks.
Yeah,
Starbucks
man.
jokes
Start
in the
telling
They'd let
corner.
me in.
Yeah.
They'd let me
Yeah.
do 5 in there.
Yeah, man, that's where I saw my hero, Mike Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont
yeah.
High at a Starbucks on Riverside and Laurel Canyon.
Because you'd been doing an impression for years.
Yeah.
Of the
Robert
actor.
Romanus is the actor.
And a friend went up to, or made you, pushed you to go up and
My
talk
friend
to him.
Claude and I were in the Starbucks, and he was like, dude, that's Damone. I'm like, no. He goes, that's Damone. You got to go say something. I'm like, I'm not going to bug Damone. You don't bug celebrities in LA,
Right.
He's like, you got to. And I was like, you're right, man. And I go, hey, man, I'm a big fan. I loved the movie. When I was in college, I did an impression of you every day. And I think that's probably why I became a comedian. He goes, so you're a comedian, huh? I go, yeah. He goes,
That's great.
I'm going to have to come check you out someday.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
He was
Good.
so cool, man. And I was kind of zeroing in on him because, in LA, at all the dry cleaners, they have like headshots of who goes to the dry cleaner. And I at my dry cleaner, I was like, that's Damone. It was Robert Romanus' headshot. That was like a couple of months before. So I was like, I think he might live around here,
You hung out and then you were
Yeah.
stalking Damone.
Yeah. And then I saw Eric Estrada one time in that same Starbucks. He was coming out. It was me and this guy, a comic that I know. I didn't even come with him, but I saw him. I didn't know him that well, but I saw him, and both of us saw Eric Estrada walk out of the bathroom. Eric Estrada, of course, played
Chips.
Ponch on Chips, and I'm like, that's Eric Estrada. He looks like $1 million. Like he looks exactly like he did 20 years ago.
Very handsome.
And he has a vest on that says California Highway
Awesome.
Patrol.
Awesome.
and I look at my buddy, I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? He's like, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was Ponch, man.
That's incredible.
And he was he has that big smile, and he was like, hey guys, how you doing, man? Yeah, I saw him there.
I love
But
it.
as cool as that was, it was not as cool for me as seeing Damone. So anyways, I remember distinctly, like I know like that was my Starbucks to go right at when I lived in LA. The Kirkwood one, I gotta be honest, man, they kind of lost me during COVID because you couldn't sit down there.
Yeah.
And Caldi's you could. So now I'm that's where I write.
Right.
That's
But
where
that
I
was
go and
a
write.
corporate thing, right?
Yeah, it was a corporate thing.
Yeah,
yeah. It was just a takeout place at that point. And I was like, okay, where am I going to go write? So I go to Caldi's every morning now, and I still go to Starbucks on the road. Sean and I have been on so many road trips, Tim and I, and I mean, I think that they said the average Starbucks customer goes to Starbucks 6 times a month, I believe.
That sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've gone 6 times in one day, but I've gone
You do 2 a days.
20 times in a week before, I think.
Yeah. 20 in a week?
Probably.
Good
So
Lord.
that's basically 3 a day.
More than
Yeah,
me.
I mean, there was a time when I was consuming a lot more caffeine. I was like, I got my caffeine in the morning, and then I got a caffeine for the show. And hey, let's go in and get, let's get. I like some of their food items.
Yeah.
I wish they would introduce some new food items. To be honest with you,
Yeah, it's time.
because like it's powerful. Because like I remember one time I was in. This is when I was on a pretty strict diet. I had stomach problems, and I was like, no gluten, no dairy. And I was talking to the girl. It might have been Nicole or another girl that worked there. And they were like, hey, have you tried one of these Kind bars? I'm like, nah, I never had that. I probably can't eat. He's like, no, they don't have any of that stuff in them. And I was like, all right, let me try a Kind bar, because that's what they had at Starbucks for a while. And since that time, I've probably eaten 10,000 Kind bars or something, all because somebody at Starbucks suggested try a Kind bar.
And now you're into the peanut butter ones.
No, I got it. I got into those with you guys. It was a Cape Girardeau trip. I hadn't eaten much, and it's those cold.
Yeah.
The cold peanut butter
Are
bars.
they perfect? Are they called perfect?
I think they're called perfect. They're
Incredible.
they keep them cold. It's peanut butter, and I got into that. And those are not healthy for me.
No,
Like there's a
they're
lot of
delicious.
sugar in there. Those good though. But I remember distinctly, I hadn't eaten anything. I was hungry, and I was like, I had one. I was like, this is a whole new life for me.
Yeah, it's great.
This is where
My
I'm going.
son loves it. He'll eat several a day. It's great.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I've been off of those for a while though.
Oh,
Yeah.
congrats.
Starbucks, do they have the ones with the eggs? Like it's a chocolate bar and it's the equivalent of 3 eggs in it.
Yeah. It's
And, like,
simple. Simply. Yeah. It just says.
I swear you know what I'm talking about, Tim, if you saw it.
The what?
It's just simply something it has in it.
And it's
It
like
says
the-
what it says all the ingredients.
Oh,
on the
yeah,
ingredients.
yeah.
But it's like a chocolate
I don't think
bar,
they have those anymore, but they did. at one
they
point.
did.
Yeah.
Right.
With the
'Cause
fruit,
that-
the fruit things?
No.
No. It's like it'll say like 3 eggs, 4 walnuts.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
That.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Starbucks got me on that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if I find them, I'll grab them. But I think it is. I don't know. It makes it look like I feel like I'm doing such a healthy thing, but then I'm like, boy, this is pretty sweet. So it's like maybe it is 3 eggs with like 80 grams of sugar.
No, there's
too.
no sugar in it.
Oh, really?
No,
Well,
it's,
then,
that's the whole thing. Whatever it says on the thing, that's what's in it. There's nothing added.
well,
in
I guess I tasted. Okay.
it. Yeah.
I'm just having a bad day today, man. I can't get anything right.
Doing
I'm
great.
getting.
I don't think there's sugar in there. I think maybe there's.
Either way,
there's
but that's-
dates. There's like dates. and
Yeah,
stuff.
maybe.
there's
Yeah,
some
I just
fruit
thought it was
stuff in
something
there.
sweet about it. But that was a Starbucks move. That's why I got on them. So if I
Yeah.
see him now.
So, anyways, back to Howard. When he came back, he was like, "We're missing a lot of stuff." And one of the things he was like, "We got to start grounding coffee in the stores again because the aroma is part of what sells this place."
Yeah.
I got this. I got some coffee here, and they were like, "You want me to grind it?" I'm like, "Yeah, grind it up." And it is cool. It smells good. And when you go into Starbucks, I mean, my clothes smell like coffee when I leave Starbucks.
So you buy that? It's a bag. I've
a
never.
bag of beans.
I don't know anything about. Actually, you buy it a bag of beans, and they'll grind it and put it right back
Yeah,
in the
so
bag.
it's like having a can of Folgers.
Oh man, I can smell it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
I don't
can
drink
smell it from here.
coffee. Randy, do you want this?
I like that.
Heck yeah, I'll take that.
I'm going to
dude.
give this to you just because I
Please,
would give
thank
it to
you.
you because I
Thank
know
you
you
very
drink coffee,
much.
but we know that you probably have some sort of like
It'd go great with my great value Oreo.
exactly. There's
Yeah.
probably some sort of
Sorry about
cheap like it just says coffee on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a white bag with a blue lettering that says coffee. So I figured you don't ever have brand stuff at your house. What kind of
He
water?
doesn't.
Did he give you this water?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
purified water.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what that is.
These chips are always a little bit lighter every time we come. Randy's
Oh, yeah.
diet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's got to do
Old
what he's got to
sticky
do.
fingers is getting in there.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's fine. That's what they're there for, buddy.
Yep.
Have as many Pringles as you like.
We'll get you there, bud.
Yeah. The peanut butter, I'm not sure because it might show. If maybe not.
We'll have to test those ones.
We
in the
should
back.
start making some sandwiches.
Yeah.
So he did that. He did some other pretty cool stuff when he came back in 2008. That was, 2008 was right around that financial crisis, and he had this giant meeting in New Orleans, and he brought like 10,000 employees down there to retrain them on stuff. And the board was like, "What are you doing, man? We're not making any money. We're losing market share to McDonald's." He's like, "No, we need to restart the culture here." And that was like a big moment for him. When they were down there, they helped out with some of the Katrina efforts, and they learned about all that. So he also shut down 7,000 stores at one point because he was like, these guys don't know how to make espresso anymore. I'm going to shut it down for a day, and we're going to teach them how to make espresso.
Wow.
Which is, that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
We're going to teach them how to steam milk properly.
My father-in-law told me a story about they were looking at stores, and he went to a store, and my father-in-law remarked that there was like a panel on the ground that was painted, and then but the screws in there weren't, and the screws kind of stuck out as these metallic screws on this red painted panel thing, and he's like, "Oh, that kind of sticks out a little bit." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it does." And then then they drove to the next store, and when they arrived at the next store, the employees were painting the screws that he had planted out.
That's great.
So he just was on his phone going, "What is with the?"
I guess so.
That is
Yeah.
great, man.
That word. Paint the screws.
That is awesome. I mean, this is a brand that we could talk about history for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But it's not a 4-hour podcast. They're struggling a little bit now, I think, too, just with the new culture, in that they have all this to-go business with the app.
Yep.
And so people are just crashing in there to buy all this stuff.
Yep.
And they don't have room for people to sort of hang out like it's a coffee shop anymore.
You brought up COVID, and that it changed it for a lot of people, that they shifted to just kind of that they got very comfortable with the app, very comfortable with it to go, and it's probably great for their business. But an article came out this week even that the new CEO, I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
One of his big things is to sort of not separate those businesses, but at least let them live in harmony a little bit better.
Yeah,
Because-
I think they're going to try to have like just to go stores. I think they are going to start doing that. The guy is Brian Nickel is the new CEO just this year, I believe.
he was at Chipotle.
He was at Chipotle and he turned Chipotle around.
Yep.
And Howard is, Howard still owns a lot of the business.
Still
and
around,
Howard's
yeah.
still saying like, hey guys, you lost touch with a lot of what made us
Yeah.
what we are.
But it'll be interesting to see what they how they separate those. I mean, they've got all the data that says, hey, this store is exclusively pickup. This store people are hanging out in, and they can look at that. But it's interesting now, since COVID, if you go in to order, it takes a while for someone to even see that you're there because they're just hustling between the drive-through and the pre-order stuff. They almost forget a lot of them
I mean, yeah.
that you're there to order, and they're like shocked.
They don't even say hi anymore.
Yeah.
Because I saw this thing. It was like Starbucks partners have a corporate mandate to be friendly. It's called the customer connection, and it's highly valued to the company. We are evaluated and scrutinized on our customer connections. We are pushed to greet everyone by name if they've come in several times before. They don't even greet you anymore. Like a lot of times you'll just go, especially when we're on the road, you go in
man.
and it's like you just stand there for 5 minutes and then they're like, hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
In the weeds all day. And the thing is, there's people working there. It's not like the other places where there's 2 people.
No,
Yeah.
they're all
there's
there.
9 of them back there. I mean, and the line, it's just inert.
Yeah. Inert means not moving, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's good.
Is that what did it fit?
Nah, you got it.
I hope the camera was on his face when he said
Yeah, it's good.
I was wondering why he was getting so worked up, and it was all to set the table.
Yeah, it was really good.
And he still wanted me to fail too. Did you see his face like
No, you landed it.
yeah.
You landed it. I wish you would have just not revealed so much.
I couldn't help it, man.
Yeah,
I
just
couldn't help. I
gone on
tried.
to
I'm a
something
bad
else.
actor.
Yeah, try to
I'm a
weave it
bad
in there
actor.
next. Yeah.
I really
telegraphed it.
Yeah.
I sat too long.
You got
And
a
inert.
nerd.
Yeah, because I would almost believe that inert. Nah, I don't know.
What is inert exactly, Randy?
It's
Exactly. It's like
Doesn't
not
move.
I assume so. I just want to take in the whole
think it's just
definition.
Are you
doesn't move.
questioning him on here?
No, I'm not. At
He
this
got it
point,
right.
At this point, it's a service we provide listeners, and I just want to say here, this is
Very
Sean's word of
slow
the
to
day.
move or act, sluggish, deficient in active properties.
So the line is very slow to move or act. I mean, that's probably the perfect way to use it.
I don't think a line, but that third definition, or whatever that
Yeah.
I guess you could describe a line as inert.
Lacking the ability
or strength.
to move. So it's like a line, I don't know, as inert as much as
A person.
a person. Yeah.
No, there we go. An inert political system. If a political system can be inert, then I would say a line can as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been in some of those Starbucks lines, and it is a bit of a political system, man. Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You got to reach across the aisle.
Yeah.
That line is inert.
Yeah, that was good, Sean.
That was terrible. I bad acting.
I don't know what
I
you're
tried-
talking about.
You gotta
yeah,
slip
the
it in.
acting.
I just
the
couldn't.
acting-
I couldn't help but laugh because
It didn't matter. Tim was laughing so hard.
I'm a funny guy.
Get this, man. This is what they think of you, Sean. Employees are also asked not to wear perfume or cologne because
I get that.
It's not just for the customer. You know what it's for?
The coffee.
The coffee.
Yeah.
It messes with the coffee.
I know. I
smell.
actually get it too. And also, there's a lot of garbage out there, man. I mean, look, I would also have rules on that too. Especially if you're at a coffee shop, of course. But it's like, I can't have somebody like, oh yeah, all scents are welcome. Then you're coming in there with Brute and Stetson. It's like, get out of my show, man. That ruins the day. Then you get guys like me a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying if
Coming
you
in there
took
with
over
preferred
Starbucks, it'd
stock?
be like, hey, you're going to wear these types of cologne.
I'm gonna say, well, I'll give them a checklist. Yeah, I'll give them here's 30, and they're gonna be $100 or more. I'm like, we're not playing games in the store. You're not. Yeah,
Okay.
take that Walgreens bottom shelf back. Not happening.
And,
it's in a green bottle and it flips over and doesn't break. Not in my shop.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah,
But I do agree. Obviously, yeah, the smell in the coffee shop because I mean, just opening this. I mean, I can still smell it right now.
Yeah,
That's
it
how
smells
crazy
good, doesn't it?
It's great, man.
Yeah, I'm into it.
In fact, speaking of which, if you're smelling different cologne or perfume scents, they'll have coffee beans at the counter to reset.
Oh, really? That's the palate cleanser?
Yeah, that's
really?
the palate
I didn't
cleanser.
know that.
Yeah.
Like a place that they know what they're doing. Yeah, they'll have like 3, and you do that, you get the reset, kind of like the sorbet on you have before like Italian restaurant.
Yeah,
They'll have the
in
sorbet.
between
Yeah.
courses.
Palate
Yeah.
cleanser.
Palate
Yeah,
cleanser. Yeah.
palate cleanser.
Great.
Do you have a nasal palate? Is that what it's
the
called?
same, things.
Yeah, it's not.
Your smell, because like if you can't smell, then you can't taste.
Yeah,
right?
Ryan
It's the
Stout
same-
would know.
Yeah, it's the same
I
thing.
just don't know what it's called. Ryan Stout.
Because he doesn't have it, right?
Yeah,
He cannot.
I think he's asnomic. I believe.
Oh yeah, it is.
I think it's
asnomia.
called asnomic, where there's
Yeah.
no sense of smell.
So he can't smell
Then there's
at
a
all?
heightened sense of smell. I believe. Yeah, he can't smell at all. He just
Yeah,
can't
there's
smell
this
anything.
lady that can smell Parkinson's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
I read a story about that. She was like saying her husband like smelled horrible. And he's like, you just smell awful. What's wrong with you? You smell awful. He's like, I took a shower, and then he wound up getting Parkinson's. And she went to some other place where there was a lot of people. And she's like, it completely overwhelmed her. Yeah. And there was no medical definition or explanation for it. But yeah, that you guys saw that story?
Yeah, I remember. What you're talking about.
I did,
Yeah.
man. I don't know where, but I was like, this is crazy.
You
And
got to
it was
hope
like-
that woman is an honorable person.
Yeah.
Because if she's not, you'd be like, you're like, it's just like some booth at a carnival. Like, I'll step $100. I can tell you
Yeah.
whether you got Parkinson's or not. It's like, oh yeah, you got Parkinson's.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, how bad? It's gonna be another 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or she just doesn't like you. She's like, oh, you know what? Might be a little Parkinson's on you.
Yeah. Or that, or it's like, or she's like, oh my God, you smell. She's like, what? Do I have Parkinson's?
No, scoliosis.
No, you just didn't take a shower. Like you just need to shower. Tim, you want to hit some fun facts?
Yeah, I found out some interesting stuff. I talked to what the location thing is so crucial to Starbucks. I talked to a buddy, a few interesting things. They don't own any of the property, right? But they know where they want to be, and they have some of these preferred sort of landlords. And this guy I talked to, basically the Starbucks in-house real estate people will call him and be like, hey, buy that place, buy that place, buy that place, right?
Yeah.
He buys it. And then the same people that build out the store, he hires them. It's all this whole system that works. So they don't own any of those properties, but these kind of preferred people do. He comes in, they hand it over. Starbucks, the same guy, same architect, same designer, same guy that he hires is also then working on the store. And it's pretty cool. And he talks about all the things they look for, obviously corners and stuff. But one thing that's important to them, even if you're on one road, you think, oh, it doesn't matter. They look at the traffic patterns for it's the morning side of the street that they want, the AM traffic,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
so
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
they'd even be like, yeah, we don't. That's the side that more people are. There's heavier traffic in the morning that way, heavier at night that way. We want to be on that morning side.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah. They got it real dialed in.
You know, I always say about Greg, though. Greg is passionate about Starbucks. There is one time, though, that Greg really does not like Starbucks. And I can't believe we haven't brought this up. There's a big problem for Greg. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
If a Starbucks is in a Target, he's walking.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
against it.
He
Yeah.
is against it hard.
Yeah.
I think he'll go to the gas station before the Starbucks
Yeah,
in
don't care
Target.
for
And
it.
we can't get to the bottom of this. And I'd
Yeah.
like to just hash this out unless you don't want to talk about it.
I don't think it's all that complex. I found that they're usually understaffed. And now maybe I might like them just as much as the regular Starbucks because you're not getting the old Starbucks type customer service that you used to get.
That's what I'm saying.
And I just like I like the store. I like the feeling of a Starbucks, man. It's a big deal for me.
But even if you're just on the road, I mean, a lot of times we're just stopping.
Well, the
in.
times on the road was like I have waited a ton of times at a Target Starbucks. They're very understaffed, and in my opinion, not. Again, we're going back to probably like a few years ago where it's like they're not as well trained as the regular Starbucks people.
Those are operated differently. You brought up airport ones too. Those are operated differently. Starbucks is not.
It says in the employee handbook, you have to be nice to the customers unless you work at an airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Target ones are rough. A lot of the grocery store ones, though, I will say are all right, except for the one I went to that gave me the frozen.
Yeah, man.
The
God, that
frozen
was
stuff.
amazing.
That was rough. But they report to those store managers and not Starbucks.
My buddy Sean, who works at the Starbucks in Kirkwood, I walked in the other day. He's like, "Man, I can't believe they did that to Tim." He's like, he goes, they could have gone a lot of different ways on that deal, and I can't believe they did that.
I still don't think. For those of you who don't remember, we talked about this a few episodes ago. I think, yeah, you got You were getting what? Like
Mobile app. I ordered egg bites and a sandwich, an Impossible breakfast sandwich. It was like, as I always do all the time, go to grab it. And she goes, hey, the oven's not working. I couldn't warm it up. I look in the bag and she had given me the 2 frozen items in their bag that the customers never saw. Just completely rock solid.
The greatest
frozen.
thing ever, man.
That was the choice they made. That would not have happened at a regular Starbucks.
I don't think so. Yeah, Sean wouldn't have done it. He's really upset about it.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people.
I need to tell him that it was a grocery store.
Yeah, absolutely, immediately. Anyway, I thought the real estate stuff was interesting. Let's talk about the logo. It is a twin-tailed mermaid. Before 1987, it was very controversial because that mermaid was naked. Mermaids, the whole legend is, lured sailors to their death. So did sirens. Sirens are different. You know the difference between sirens and mermaids?
Yeah.
Familiar with sirens?
Yeah.
Sirens would sing, and it was their song that was going.
Yeah, a lot of the sirens weren't even that hot.
No, they were like bird-like creatures.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of come around.
But their voice made them hot.
Yeah, but people were not happy. But now,
there's
nothing controversial about that.
Yeah, they were. That was a naked mermaid for a while.
And that was what, like late 80s to like
before 87.
It was before 87.
And I believe
I think that might have been what that when Howard bought it, he did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because for a long time it was just called Naked Mermaids. Yeah.
Really popular.
Naked Mermaids.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, you know they brought it back, I think, in like 08, and it did not work well. So then they reset it, and they won't even show it on the logo, but that is a fact.
They brought
back the old logo.
Naked Mermaid?
Yes, in like 2008-ish, and I think it lasts 3 months.
With the
I
idea
promise you this
of
is right.
keeping it?
Yes, and then people got all sensitive, like, that's Naked Mermaid.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, well, clearly, because that didn't last. It was like 3 months, but they won't. If you fact check the logos, it's not on there. So
Sean tosses out a fact and then says, "You can't Google it.
Yeah,
it's not on the internet."
I bet you they brought
swear
back.
to you, man.
I bet you they brought back the original logo, not the Naked Mermaid logo.
Yeah,
wasn't that the original?
No,
it was maybe.
Again,
you can't Google it.
Yeah, you're
We'll
shooting.
never know.
You can't Google it.
I think Howard brought back the logo. 2008 is what makes me doubt you, because that's when he came back. So he probably brought back the original logo, but I don't think he brought back the Naked Mermaid logo.
All right.
I went to the first
Randy,
ever,
take a look at that.
I went to the first ever Starbucks in Seattle. So you can go to the first
Pike
one.
Place.
It's got the old logo.
It's not the first one.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
It's Pike Place down by the market or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not they moved there at some point. It's
well, that one is very, very. It's very like.
Yeah, I've been there. It's cool.
The old logo, all that stuff, and there's a line. I mean, the line down the street. It's a tourist thing. So wait, that's not the original one. Then what's the point?
What do you mean?
You're saying it's not the original one?
I think there was one before that. I think that was maybe the first retail store, but there was
it was the first retail store. Then it was the first Starbucks.
I think there was a different Starbucks before that.
Okay, yeah, because they sold T-shirts that said first retail store on it. It's the first Starbucks.
It's not.
It's the first. Starbucks.
It was not the first Starbucks.
The first retail store. It's the first Starbucks as we know it. That's great that there was a building somewhere they made coffee and called it Starbucks.
Right, but you're saying like the one
they were in.
I understand that.
Right.
But this is the first Starbucks.
Okay.
Yeah, where people go in and
But
buy.
see, I think that Starbucks, here's the thing. And again, guys, it's okay that this is going on because it is complex when you sort through this history. There's a lot of stuff out there.
There is a lot, man.
But I think what happened, I think that Starbucks also was, they
One of
just
Howard's?
sold beans. The one in Pike Place. They just sold beans at first. So they had one that just sold beans, and they moved to Pike Place, and they just sold beans, and then they got into the selling coffee stuff.
Made that the first retail one.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you're wishing this to be.
Well, I just feel like, why are they celebrating that one so much?
It's a cool place.
I know, but why are they like this landmark
I don't
fourth
think,
Starbucks?
I have a feeling we're not going to get an answer to that on this.
It's pretty cool.
Podcast.
I recommend if you're in the
that
area,
whole Pike Place market is.
That's where they chuck the fish at you. And all that stuff.
It's real cool. People talk often about how little actual coffee you're getting. If you ever see them make your drink, especially mine, if they put the coffee in it, maybe goes to here before they put the ice and everything else in it. It is a little bit alarming how little actual coffee you're getting. However, the numbers, like we said, if you're talking about a grande has this much, then it does in fact has that much. But it's wild if you see how little actual coffee it is.
Unless you just get a cup of coffee.
Exactly, and then you're getting, you're getting quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get drip coffee or plain cold brew, then you can see what's going on, right? You want to talk about pumpkin spice latte?
Yeah.
This guy, Peter Dukes, he was the company's director of global growth and concepts. He created the pumpkin spice latte in 2001 while trying to find a fall complement to the brand's peppermint-based holiday drinks. They came out with the candy cane stuff. It was crushing. And he's like, what else can we do seasonally? And kind of was like, I'll mess with this pumpkin thing. Obviously a sensation, but did not have pumpkin in it until 2015.
That's crazy.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. That guy made that company so much money, right?
Crazy,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you into the pumpkin spice stuff at all?
No.
I don't care for it.
I mean, it's weird because I'm such a Starbucks guy and I don't drink coffee. I just drink tea,
Yeah.
and now I'm off of caffeine. So I'm not as, I got to be honest, some of the lure of Starbucks was the caffeine,
Sure.
so like I had to get there all the time to get an Emperor's Cloud and Mist tea. And now I'm drinking a Mint Majesty and I'm less excited about it because there's no caffeine in it. But I still will go to a coffee shop and write on the road. And I like some of the food items.
Yeah, Detroit. That street where our hotel was, there was like 10 coffee shops.
Yeah.
I mean, really cool stuff too, man.
Yeah, really cool.
Not just some fly-by-night stuff. Really high-end nice stuff.
Like most office buildings, the Central Intelligence Agency, that's the CIA, Sean, in Langley, Virginia, runs on caffeine, but it doesn't run like a typical Starbucks. Baristas undergo background checks and aren't allowed to leave their posts without a CIA escort. Customer names cannot be called out or written on the cup due to security concerns. How many kids do you think work there and their families are like, yeah, I got a nephew. He's at the CIA in Langley.
Yeah.
He's the Starbucks guy.
Yeah, he's just
that's crazy.
He went
man.
through training, the whole thing.
That's crazy.
Pretty
You think
cool.
some kid messes it up? It's like, this is for you, Agent Steve Johnson. He's like, you blew my cover.
Yeah, man, shut your mouth. Shut up.
Somebody from the organized crime department?
Yeah.
No.
This is for the guy. I got a blonde roast for the guy that's it's over. You're going to Russia tomorrow, and you're gonna
Blows 3 years of investigative work. Like, oh man, ruined our deal.
That's crazy. It's just, I could do a lot. This is crazy. I talked to the friend about this today. From a financial perspective, stored card value provides Starbucks with several advantages. So this is, and I do it all the time. If you order in advance, it's easier to just already have that money transferred to your Starbucks account, right? So for me, it's $25 increments, which is really just a couple trips to Starbucks for me at this point. So that money is theirs, right? This works out really well for them. Starbucks receives cash up front. This immediate cash flow can be used for various operational needs before the products or services are consumed. Essentially, this allows Starbucks to scale more rapidly because the company doesn't tie up cash as it grows. Instead, it creates a negative working capital cycle, providing them with increased cash flow as they expand.
that's insane.
The wild thing about this is, like there's probably $25 plus on my thing right now.
Yeah.
I'm basically giving them a loan.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
They're making the
They're
interest.
playing the float on our cash. And sometimes I forget that I have an app. And it's just, so they've had my $25 for a year and a half.
They're making it. So if they're taking your $25, my $25, think about how big Starbucks is. And they're just regularly generating interest on all that money. It's just their money to do what they want.
That's such an advantage, isn't it?
And then on the other side of that, the people who just like, everybody, no matter what happens in their life, like somebody decides I'm going to stop going to Starbucks. There's money left over on that thing.
Yeah.
And that's not even getting into gift cards.
Gift cards
game
is insane.
Starbucks, as much as anyone, is benefiting from the gift card game. People get gift cards, they give them as gifts, and then they sit in a drawer somewhere.
Correct.
That's all
and they just
it's
money. Millions.
God,
I read that today. Actually,
that's gotta be
it's
huge.
millions.
It's an
that don't
absurd
get
amount of
cashed
money.
in.
Because
just pure profit.
I give that gift often. Some Starbucks cards. Like you just kind of accept that somebody will be able to do something with them. It's absolutely wild. But the loan thing, everyone in America is giving Starbucks a loan,
card,
and they're just making money off that.
That means next time I get bad service, I'll be like, I lent you guys money. I lent you money.
Or next time things are tough for you, you'll be like, hey, you remember I was there for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need 5 large. See what they say.
That's crazy.
It is.
Man.
It is. It's pretty bananas. They've got to be benefiting. I'm sure there's numbers somewhere on who's benefiting from the gift card game the most, but they've got to be way.
They got to be that. What else gets more gift cards than Starbucks?
No way.
McDonald's used to have those gift land McDonaldland gift cards or gift certificates.
No, it's
Yeah.
gotta be.
It's got to be.
It's Starbucks. It's got to be Starbucks.
More stuff. Going to any Starbucks, you'll probably see two kinds of tables, round tables and rectangular tables. There's a reason for the round tables. They say they're supposed to make you feel more at home when you're by yourself. Because you're not as aware that like, oh, there's an empty space here, an empty space here. You're just kind of like, look at me, I got a table.
I search out, I'm by myself all the time, and I search out a rectangular table. I don't like the round table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like feeling alone.
I do. Yeah. I have a little sign I put up that says loner.
Yeah. Don't talk to me.
Howard Schultz, he owned the Seattle Sonics, Supersonics for a while. NBA basketball.
They became
team.
the Sonics, I think, after a while.
Really?
Yeah, I think they were the Supersonics, then the Sonics.
I think Greg's right.
Oh, I always think of them as the Supersonics.
Well, they weren't that super.
They fought. They were bad. He fought a bunch with Gary Payton. He won an arena. He didn't get it. He sold the team in 2006. They moved the team to Oklahoma City. Then he sued the owners. It all got real crazy. But he says it's one of his biggest regrets of his professional life. He should have been willing to lose money until a local buyer emerged so that the team could have stayed in Seattle. He says he is forever sorry.
Yeah, he's like a Northwest hero for Starbucks, and then a lot of that went away because he got rid of their basketball team.
Yeah, they're like, we love Starbucks, but we really love our basketball team.
Xavier McDaniel and Gary Payton.
Not
glove.
Cool.
Yeah, that I saw that he basically said when he sold it to the people, there was like a handshake deal, like, hey, we're going to try to work it out locally, or so we're going to try to keep make a good faith effort to keep the team in Seattle, and they didn't. They went to OKC right away.
Yeah.
He sued him, and I don't think he won.
Yeah, I don't like it. Until 2019, this is crazy. Starbucks owned and operated a secret indie coffee shop. It was called Roy Street Coffee and Tea, where they would test stuff out.
Wow.
They sold they're out of the game now, but they used to just run products through there and find out what people liked, which is great.
Yeah.
And I like that better than the you always find, and maybe Starbucks does it too, all these brands will launch something like, we're just doing it in Nashville, or so you'll be like, oh my God,
Test
somebody
market.
came out with a new product. Yeah. I like that they're like, yeah, we just have a store for that.
Yeah. You wonder if like how deep they were. Like, did they have the employees to be like, I hate Starbucks, man. Like they had to pretend, maybe they had to pretend like they didn't work at Starbucks.
Yeah. They're like advertising against them. And,
listen, man, you're not going to find this garbage at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Or there's probably some customers like, I don't like Starbucks, man. I like the indie coffee shops. I go to Roy Street, man. I'm not giving my money to the corporate greed.
Yeah.
I support Roy Street. Howard's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah. See what I did with the Sonics? According to one employee, and I talked to a friend who worked there for a long time, there's a rule where they have to open the store 10 minutes before the posted opening time and leave the doors unlocked for 10 minutes after the posted closing time. Just the idea of kind of this friendly, feel of it. You don't want people to have that feeling of disappointment and associate it with Starbucks.
Yeah.
My friend said, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I know. I'll
put him in trial for that one.
Yeah,
I've never. I know there's a couple times over the years that we were there on the buzzer, and they're like, "No, guys.
Yeah,
really, a Starbucks?
Yeah,
absolutely. I think they kind of,
and I don't blame them really because it is obnoxious when you're closed at say 9 and somebody gets there at 8:59 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also like, oh man, I'm
not
gonna
for
get
coffee.
Yeah,
Pour
but then maybe
they
dumped it out. They have to make a whole new. You just never know what they get.
They don't like for the iced tea. I'll be like, "Can I get a passion iced tea?" And they'll be like, "We're not going to make a new thing. It's 10 minutes left."
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want my tea right now. I want my tea. I did research. Go do it. 10 minutes.
10-minute rule.
Starbucks had its own record label, Hear Music. Do you remember this? You'd go in there and there'd be all these CDs out there they were trying to sell you. Paul McCartney was their first artist.
He's pretty big.
Paul McCartney? Yeah, not super familiar.
He
Randy, you were in a band.
He was in that band Wings, wasn't he?
You were in Wings for a minute, weren't you, Randy?
Randy was,
Who else was in Wings? It was Steven Weber and Monk.
Tim Daly.
And
Monk. It's good, man.
Yeah.
Cheers cast would show up sometimes.
They did that.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Helen was the girl.
Yes,
she was
Helen.
the love interest.
Yeah.
Helen was the love interest.
Yeah.
Lowell.
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden
Church.
Yeah, was in there.
What was her name? Crystal Bernard? No. Is that her name?
Might have been. That was Helen, right?
Helen was the older lady, right?
No, that was Faye.
Oh, Faye. Okay,
Yeah,
Helen.
Faye.
And then Helen has a hit song that
What?
she sang on. Randy, you're going to have to look this up. I
Crystal
apologize.
Bernard had a hit song?
Is that her? That's her name, right?
I think you're thinking of Crystal Gale, and she has several hit songs.
No, I know
They were
Crystal
country.
Gale. Who am I looking up? Crystal Bernard.
Crystal Bernard.
Let's get an image first and make sure she is in fact the one from Wings.
This is good stuff right here. If you're listening, we are Googling Crystal Bernard. I think that is Crystal Bernard from Wings.
Yeah, that's her. So
yeah. Yep, she was Crystal Bernard's song,
yeah,
Randy.
hit song.
Hit song.
Get to the bottom of this.
We are Googling. Again, apologize to the people that are not viewing. We are Googling right now.
Oh, yeah, Peter
Cetera.
Who's obviously the lead singer of Chicago.
And Crystal Bernard had a song called I Want to Take Forever Tonight.
You'd know it if you heard it.
It's not near as good a song as Starbucks Moonlight song. I guarantee it.
All right, we'll listen to that too.
Yeah,
we'll do a
it's a great soft rock song.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some more numbers. Over 38,000 stores worldwide. About 16,500 in the U.S. California's got over 3,000. Texas about 1,400. Florida 913. Illinois 628. The lowest is Vermont. No surprise. They've got 8. Massachusetts has 273.
You know,
a couple things. Sorry, Sean.
No, it was something stupid. Go ahead, man.
Well, a couple things jump out there. One, that Washington's in the top 5 because that's Pacific Northwest. That's where they're not. Washington is not the 5th biggest state,
right?
So there's a disproportionate amount of probably coffee shops and Starbucks. That's where it all started.
Sure.
You know, and then Massachusetts should probably be a lot higher, but you got Duncan
comes in with the iron fist.
Yeah, you got Duncan.
Duncan Land. Yeah.
New York, I think, was 6. I looked at that list.
See, that's interesting. Not to undercut you, Tim, but I looked at 3 different sources online that
Watch
said
it
it was
Sean. If you undercut me on this,
21,536 number of stores in the U.S. And I saw it in 3 different things.
21.
But I'm just saying that's why this thing is so tricky.
16,400.
I think Sean's right, and I think and I think I might have sent you that number. I think 16. I think is the international. Yeah, I think Sean's
international. Right. I have 38,000.
No, 38,000 is total.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense.
I think 16,000 is international, and I think that's on me because I think I sent you those numbers. So I think Sean's right on that.
Boy, does that feel good to hear.
Yeah,
you don't get that much in this show.
Randy, get your scissors.
No,
out.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
Really
Sean's right on that deal.
Let's talk about how it is to work there.
Oh, wait a minute. Nope.
Yeah, 16,482 as of July.
I know, man, but that's AI overview, man. That is shady source.
Oh, it is.
Because now put in the same thing for the caffeine.
No, he's right. You got it flipped. He's right. You're wrong. There's 16,482 in the U.S. and the number you have is actually the ones outside the U.S.
So ultimately, I am wrong. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at least I had something semi-right.
Yeah, I mean, listeners
you're completely wrong.
On the edge of
and I was wrong for trusting you. I honestly thought it was me that screwed it up.
Oh, well, we got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Listeners were grateful, I'm sure. Let's talk about actually working there. I've always thought of it as such a great place to work. I remember in my 20s when I was playing music and all these, hanging out with all these musicians. It was such a great gig for, pardon me?
Not now, though.
Not now what?
Not a good place to work now.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's shifted.
Just walk in there. They are inundated. It is you are under stress the entire time. There's more orders than you can ever fill. It's because of this to-go stuff. It's because of the app. They're too inert.
Things have changed. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying back then, what'd you say?
Nothing.
Inert?
He said inert.
Oh, boy.
I just threw it in again.
And he didn't use it right that time.
You're inert.
They're not inert. They're going around like crazy. It's the opposite of inert. Yeah, it looks like a high-pressure thing. And they have the same look in their eyes as those pharmacists during COVID, where it's just like, this is never going to end.
Yeah.
People are just going to keep coming in here and they're going to want stuff all day long.
Yeah.
And they're not, I try to give them a benefit of the doubt sometimes because it's like, that's a high pressure job and they're not making a lot of money. I think they're $15 an hour minimum.
Yeah, 15 an hour. Digital tips started in 2022. I asked friends if when they started doing digital tips, if that, it kicked in, like it made better. She said her experience was that it was less because people got annoyed that they were like, hey, do you want a tip? Whereas before it felt a little cooler To
Yeah.
be like, I'm at my third place, coffee shop. I'm going to throw the cash in. She said she felt like it was worse.
Yeah.
But my point was that back in the day, it was like the best place to work.
It did seem
'Cause
cool.
It was, and you got benefits, especially for musicians. They
Yeah.
can make their own hours, all this stuff. But now there's like protests and they're trying to unionize. And like the one that one in Ladue will shut down every now and then because all the employees are like, yeah, we can't take it anymore. It's really interesting.
They did unionize. I think there's 500 stores unionized right now, and the first one was in Buffalo, New York.
There you go, Sean.
Your neck of the woods. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Hopefully it wasn't anything to do
Labor
with-
Town.
Yeah.
Health insurance, even for the part-time employees, 1 free bag of coffee or a box of tea per week, unlimited free drinks during your shifts, 7 free food items per week, 30% discount at all Starbucks locations, huge, free Spotify premium subscription, free Headspace subscription, and 20 free therapy sessions per year via Lyra.
I think you're gonna need more than 20 sessions if
To
you're
go
working
through
at
that,
Starbucks.
yeah.
I mean, I think something's wrong with the equation, but I think it's not an indictment of Starbucks. It's just sort of food service all over. It's just, man, they don't get paid enough to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not a highly skilled position, I don't think. The coffee, you got to know a lot about
Yeah,
coffee.
no,
Staying
a
on
lot-
top.
Yeah. Actually, I'm wrong about
So
that.
many different things now, and people order, but I want it like this and like this. and
Yeah,
like this,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. One of my favorite things, and my friend Sean Gannant is a comic, he's my old roommate in LA. He worked at Starbucks out there for a while. And I read that a lot of baristas do this, but if you're a customer and you are a jerk, they will decaffeinate you.
Oh, that's great.
Is it
Nice move.
Yeah. It's a perfect. There's nothing they can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because decaf coffee looks just like regular
Yep.
coffee.
Yep.
So somebody's like, man, I'm not feeling so good today.
That'll ruin somebody's day.
Yes, man. If you're a jerk at Starbucks, they will decaffeinate
Oh, that's
you.
so
So
funny.
watch it, man.
That's great.
Yeah, then you're like you go back. It's the same guy, and you're like, man, I had 3 coffees today, man. Like I got to get my blood work done or something, man. Something's wrong with me, man. I mean, I'm on 5,000 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah,
Tricks them up.
that sounds like something. Yeah, that would freak you out because you get pretty freaked out when there's your mind goes to some pretty crazy places when there's any sort of difference in your health.
Oh yeah, like right now, I think I'm dying.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. I think I'm dying.
Right here at this table?
Yeah, I'll be dead within 2 years.
Oh,
100% believe it. I know it's very, very not cool to say.
yeah, things really
But
took a turn.
that-
yeah.
yeah,
I don't.
they got
Just for the
three
listeners, he's okay.
I'm okay,
I
but
think he's okay.
Well, we don't know. Yet. I got to
Tim
get.
and I
I got
have
to
been-
have.
Tim and I have been through this a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta,
I hope you're all right. I try to take it seriously every now and then.
we'll see, man. We'll see.
Now you are nice to the Starbucks workers. Sean's nice
yeah,
to
man.
almost every worker.
Yeah,
Sounds nice
absolutely,
to
man.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
unless
guess.
he's in a hurry at night.
Yeah, right.
God, man, you
See you
made me
later.
look like such a jerk there.
Yeah.
You were a jerk. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. There's that one
The
is.
thing is, if you know me, I'm not cheap. See, I pride myself. I'm not cheap, man. You know I'm not. It was just I sorry. I got to bring this up for 1 minute and then we'll get
Yeah.
off it. I just didn't want to go. I was tired. I just didn't want to go out of my way. If that guy was right there,
You didn't have to go out of the way. You could have
promise
just
you.
stood. Well, that's not my point. You could have just stood there and be like, I'll be right back. And you'd be like, all right, I'll be right. And you just be like, no, I'm not waiting.
You're right. All right.
Yeah.
I could have stood there, but I wouldn't. That wasn't a move like to not give him money. is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
No. I didn't say you were a jerk for not giving him money. I think me giving him money has less to do with me being a good person and more to do with me being superstitious and a little OCD.
Mhm.
So I didn't say that.
No,
I
you-
think you're a bad person because you didn't wait for me. That's not for what you did to that guy.
Bad person.
Yeah. That's why I think you're a bad person. Any more fun facts?
That's all I got.
Oh,
That's
I got
a-
one.
Yeah.
So I was looking. I was like, I wonder if they have like a black card, like Duncan.
Yeah.
I guess they made a Wicked gold card. This is real. You can buy it on eBay for like $500,
Oh, really?
and it's like it was something to do with the Wicked. The
The music?
Oh,
musical,
so
yeah.
recent. I thought it was like a shot at Duncan.
Yeah, I mean,
Like making fun
of Boston people.
because that's what they do, and that's what they say in the Northeast or in New
In
England.
Boston, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wicked.
he's wicked.
It's a wicked
It's a
gold
wicked
card.
gold
But
card.
I know I've got about 30 things wrong today, but I swear, if you type in Starbucks Wicked gold card images, you'll see a bunch of them. They're on eBay. They're like $500.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like
Yeah,
as far as like
this is-
getting a black,
Well, I guess it's made out of actual gold to some degree.
yeah, but as far as like getting an actual like card like you have for Duncan,
Yeah.
From what I understand, it really doesn't exist. You can get them, but it all depends on how much you buy, and then it's like
and
it's
just
like
gotta get the
Delta
right person.
Airlines. You're a platinum, you're a star, you're a diamond, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, Tim. We're running pretty long. There's a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be a complex one, but we should let the keeper of the comments speak.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll just do a few. David Bushy, 1980 said, I was going to say that this is the poor man's Nateland podcast, but then as I was typing it, I watched Greg's mic stand fall apart, and I just felt bad. But that's what he gets for calling out Dusty.
That was a couple.
Oh, yeah,
Hey, man,
you fumbled.
I want to say, I said Dusty's a great guy. Always happy when I see him. I said he's a great comic, one of the best, and he just employed some dirtbag tactics. It was not an honorable salesman.
Right.
Oh, and pesticides?
And pesticides, yeah.
Oh, I think he did a bang up job.
He was pulling some garbage. Trust me.
I agree 100%.
If you were his competitor, you wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't be, man. I'd know just to back down.
Yeah.
That was tough.
He did what he had to do. Flightful Life says, I love this podcast so much, but if Greg ever lumps Wegmans brand in with the other store brand knockoffs, I will wrestle him.
Nice.
Wegmans brand is better than the name brand. Hashtag Sean for president.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's got to be a Western New Yorker right there.
Probably.
What a good person.
Could
Wegmans
be.
is. I mean, look, I know I'm being a homer there because they're my hometown, but it is that grocery store. Killer.
I remember saying Danny Wegman was a pioneer in the grocery business. I think they did a lot of good things. I still don't care for anybody's store brand. So come at me. Do what you got to do. I'm not a big store brand fan. It's part of why I don't like Randy. I mean, the guy's got he's got some
part of it.
Randy's got dollar store ketchup here.
Yeah.
While we have the real thing right here. He could steal our own.
Yeah, that's a one thing. Have a barbecue or something, man. Especially with the mustard, you can't see whether we used it or not. Yeah. You got to be using some of this stuff, Randy. We're not. If you're waiting for money, we're not going to pay you money.
We come in next week. This place is 90% empty.
Yeah. Randy had
He's wearing
running your mouth.
He's wearing your shirt that was hanging on the wall.
A big axis through it.
I'll do one more here. This is PC Fry 8732. Said the next Nateland podcast is going to announce the debut of 2 new podcasts. The Complainers with Sean O'Brien every Monday. A lot of text for that.
I love it, man.
people love
Wish
the
we
Complainers.
could.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the Appreciators with Venezuelan Tim every Friday.
Oh man, I miss Venezuelan Tim so bad. I really miss Venezuelan Tim.
Subscribe to the podcast.
I think I would replace Tim with Venezuelan Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he might
tough.
come in.
It's a
I mean,
tough call.
subscribe. Like the Nateland Empire is expanding. Complainers and the Appreciators with Venezuela.
Man, Venezuelan Tim was smooth.
Strong. I know.
Yeah.
You can go relive it anytime.
What would Greg's be? Down the middle podcast? What would his be?
His own?
I'm the negative. You're the positive. And was Greg a little bit of
I
both?
think it's called The Truth.
Oh, the truth.
Oh, wow.
The Truth with Greg Warren.
Bold.
He does get it right.
The truth. You want more
Yeah.
comments? All right,
Oh, he
you
wants
got
more.
it.
I want the truth.
Keep them coming, man.
Lots of text.
I believe I've earned it.
Lots of people want, at the very least, a complainers segment. People very excited about Sean pulling off the gold card. Brandon Stone 77 says Sean with the Duncan
Gold
Black.
card.
Black card.
Sorry, Duncan Black card. Sorry, Sean with the Duncan Black card was gold, fellas. I also think we should all adopt the Flava Flav system of measurement.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
Smart.
I think it's
Very smart idea.
Greg's been doing it for a while, yeah.
And I appreciate that person because it took work. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah. Sean's had 1.5 Flava Flav clocks.
I do have a fat head. No doubt about it.
I think that's a normal size head.
No, it's not like I'm on the last button on my hat.
Aso Rhea says, I want to paint those white walls, LOL. I do enjoy the show, though. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to bore me, but I figured I'd give it a shot. And I dig it.
Wow.
Well, stick with us,
Why'd
buddy.
you think it was going to bore you?
We might bore you yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lots of people complaining about the white walls.
Yeah, we are getting a lot.
Well, the white wall, you think that's a problem? How about this piece of...
Yeah, people get very angry.
I shouldn't even just brought it up because now I just revved everyone up again.
Yeah, I saw somebody's commented that their kid was watching it, which is good. this is a family-friendly show, but their kid said, why are they doing a podcast around a cardboard box? This is
a very
kid.
smart child.
This is a
because
kid.
Yeah,
that's how I describe this.
We
This
spent all the money. Yeah. Sean is a legend for that black card that keeps on coming up. I don't know, Sean. This is good. Steve Kelly once said, I don't know, Sean, but I have a feeling that him getting that Duncan black card is the first time he's ever followed through on something with the guys.
This is the first. Yeah.
I can't remember a different time.
I can't remember. Yeah, depends. That one, I went with it because I was like, I knew I had a little bit of a shot. And when they're like, well, once they said you have to spend X amount of money, I'm like, oh, this is negotiable. As soon as it gets negotiable, that's when I come in. Like, I gotta go help my girlfriend's sister buy a car tonight or tomorrow, and I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna chop them up, chew them up, spit them out. Be great. $20,000 car, I'll give you $6,500. Excuse me? That's right, $6,500, no tax.
Yeah.
And just drive them nuts, and you just keep going and going and going.
I want Martin to put together like a video of all, like cut together all the times where you tried to wedge in the fact that you're a good negotiator with cars. Because it's
for his side business.
If you have a side business, we will promote it for you.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for you. But stop hijacking the podcast where it's just like you just every time you come in with this like, I'm going to go. Greg, I got Tim. I think you just.
That's a badge of honor, man. I'm very proud. I help people save money. I'll try and help people save money or myself. So
yeah,
I think that's important, man.
Good.
I'm not a corporate guy, man. I don't know what you want from me.
I'm not a corporate
Which is
not a
odd
corporate
because
guy.
we're
this is the consumers. We research a corporation.
That's why I'm called the complainer, because I'm complaining about being the consumer. That's what we're doing there.
Chad Stevens, 8978, said, after looking up Tim's band Ludo, I haven't stopped listening to them, except, of course, to listen to a few podcasts. Wink, wink. They are hilarious and amazing. Go give them a listen.
That's cool, man.
Thank you, Chad Stevens, 8978.
Check out Ludo.
Yep.
Check out Sean's car negotiating business.
Drop it, man. Nobody wants to hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And then one more, we talked about the hats. How I wanted my Mizzou hat to last longer. We talked about the Mizzou hat. It's Go Yank says, gotta tell Tim to Google washing hats in the dishwasher. I have hats that are over 20 years old. You can buy an attachment to wrap your hat on for top shelf. Thank me later.
Yeah, I have heard about this, but
Freaks
it's like
out.
it just seems like I don't want the germs from my head going on the dishes.
Yeah. Oh.
Seems unsanitary.
Well, maybe don't run dishes in there with it.
But there's going to be some residue, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like
the water's pretty hot.
I just
use some.
You can't.
I have heard this. It is. It's the thing to do.
You can't tell me that hat is not changed after it goes through a dishwasher.
No, it's going to be the form of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the form.
Most important part of a hat.
But it is supposedly it's much more gentle. It's the thing to do.
Okay.
It's the thing to do, and get this thing that he's talking about.
Yeah.
We'll give it a shot. I don't know if we're going to do a full episode on it.
Yeah, the hat grabber for the dishwasher.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worth it.
I'll get it.
Yeah. That's all you got, comment-wise?
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was very enjoyable.
Oh, thanks, Sean.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate
I
that.
thought you did a nice job.
Thanks, guys.
Curating those comments.
It's all you guys. It's not me. It's the listeners.
What are you talking about? They just talked about Ludo, man.
Huh? No, I mean, I'm not doing anything. We're getting great comments, which we appreciate. And people should continue.
We appreciate those. I read them all. I let Tim curate them.
Yeah.
They're really cool to see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate
it. Yeah, it's very awesome.
Keep it up.
People and I'll tell you what, I saw a couple Bills fans are out there, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, I saw some of those too.
Very proud of those people.
100%.
Great team to watch.
This has been The Consumers. You have been consumed.